welcome back to the Sunday Footy Show. 4 in a row for the Kangaroos after a soft patch in the middle of the season sees them 6th on the AFL table and headed seemingly for September again. Luke Ball, win last night over the Blues.
Yeah, it's looking that way, Hutchie. It was a solid performance last night. Everett kicked 3, tried hard for the Blues. Petrie, Lindsay Thomas was back in the goal. Shaun Higgins been magnificent this year for the Roos. Jack Zeeble probably best on ground. Simpson and Murphy again tried hard for the Blues, but the coach of the Kangaroos has been good enough to join us. And Scotty, thanks for joining us. It must have been pleasing. You were challenged in that second quarter, and your leader stood up, and then you went away from them in the second half. Yeah,
I thought we did what we had to do, Bawley. In terms of the start of the game, we knew what we were going to get. In response to Carlton's week that they'd had, and they're a proud football club, and they've still got a lot of genuine class in their A-graders in their side. So, I thought Cruiser and Murphy and Cripps and those guys responded the way good players do. But our response after half-time was pretty emphatic. Yeah,
it's one of those games, we spoke to, I think, Jamie McMillan before the game, one of those games that you're expected to win, so you're on a little bit of a hiding to nothing, and a few times earlier in the year you haven't quite come up to the, met the challenge, but it must have been pleasing again yesterday to be able to do that.
Yeah, we've had a few weeks like that where, probably externally people think you should win, and that's a dangerous attitude to go into any game these days, and I think the results over the weekend showed that again. And 2015's been full of results, and we've been on the wrong side of some of them, and we're just trying to build a really solid platform for the rest of the year.
In the off-season you identified you needed some good users around the footy club, and you went hard at Shaun Higgins, which a lot of people might have raised eyebrows about, but he's probably been, along with Goldstein, your most consistent player all year, and again last night, 31 disposals, 2 goals.
Yeah, he's had an exceptional year, and you're right, Brandy. I mean, we did identify a need there, and you know him well. He's a quality person and just a class footballer. So he's added a lot to us off field, and what he's done on field has just been terrific. And he'd be right up there in our best and fairest right now.
It's been a massive year for you, strange year in many respects. Missed 4 games, got the Brent Harvey milestone. Forms off, comes good. Goes off, comes good. Plenty to deal with. What about the Brent Harvey situation? You got some criticism in some circles for that. Damien Barrett, Carolyn Wilson, others about the way it was handled. Do you think any of that was fair?
I didn't. To be honest, I don't scour through it all, so I'm not sure the total context. I've been pretty upfront and honest with Boomer's situation, and my responsibility, and I see myself as a player's coach, no doubt about that, really supportive of our players, but ultimately my responsibility is to the football club. And I was asked a question, I answered it honestly, and Boomer and I speak most days, and formally and informally. So he's really aware of the situation. I think if anyone's concerned with my comments about Boomer, they should ask Boomer what he thinks.
What does he think? Does he know where he sits for next year?
Well, I don't want to speak for him. I mean, if you ask him, he'll tell you. But in terms of next year, we go through a process in all my time at North. Around about this year, we start talking about next year, and yeah, sure, we've talked about it, and there are certain things that he's got to do to make sure that physically he's right to go, and that he's playing a role for the team, and he wants to play for team success. And if he can play a part in that, he'll play on. But if he can't, he won't.
There's a fascinating parallel with your brother, who's going through it at Geelong, and prematurely, even though many of them can play on, I guess, ending the careers as he's done in the past couple of years. Does that come into your thinking? Does Brent Harvey deserve to make his own decision for next year?
Look, the individual never comes ahead of the club. I mean, it's a romantic notion, and it's going to be spoken about a lot that there's a potential record there. But as I said, he plays for team success, and I think that if the club starts putting the individual ahead of the club, then you're on the spiral downwards. And look, I'm genuinely hopeful that the best decision will be made for both. And at the moment, he's playing terrific footy, and we've won the last 4 games. So if that continues, then hopefully it's a good outcome for everyone.
So last one, do you want him to play on? Do you know now? You do?
Oh, if he keeps doing what he's doing, I want him to play on.
Scotty, another individual you've been tough on the last month or so, Lindsay Thomas. You pleased with his response in the last couple of weeks? He looked like he was really unselfish last night, bringing his teammates into the game, and obviously that focus on the defensive side of his game as well.
Yeah, look, he's a quality player, and there's no doubt we're a better side with him in it. But again, Lindsay's had some things he's needed to work on, and his form's probably fluctuated with the team's form. So we've needed him to go back and work on some things. The leadership group have been really good with him, really supportive, and he responded the way good players do.
Hey Brad, do you rule out Wells right now because of the amount of footy he's missed to be able to play a part come finals time?
Oh, absolutely not. No, he's looking pretty good. We don't. I've spoken about it publicly. It's a weekly question at my press conference, and understandably so. But I think the light's at the end of the tunnel for him, and we put him in for surgery with the view to getting him back at some point this year, and that's on track.
You had a playful crack at the media about getting your team wrong. Do you have a good grip on where you're at? Do you think you're in a window where you can win? Because your list is starting to age. You've invested in players such as Waite at the top end of the age demographic. Do you think you're good enough to be in the window, and you feel the pressure of trying to get some success out of this team while you've got it?
I think there's always pressure to perform regardless of where you sit. But I've explained a number of times that Waite was really targeted and strategic pickup for us. It enabled us to take Sam Durden and Daniel Nielsen in the draft, and to address a short-term need while still planning for the medium and long term. So we're always looking at the future. But in terms of contending this year, we haven't proven that yet. We sit sixth on the ladder as we sit right here and now, with 5 games to go. So the rest of the year will tell that story. But our aims are pretty high, but we've got to prove it to ourselves and to everyone else.
Have you changed as a coach since the break? Did you get harder on yourself?
I've changed. Yeah, there's no doubt about that. I wouldn't say it's harder or softer or even shades in between. It's more a different outlook on the way the game's played, a different outlook on our particular team, and it's crystallised my thoughts as to what we need to do.
A lot of Brownlow talk at this time of year. Todd Goldstein's been talked about. Nat Fyfe had a couple of quiet weeks. Would have you given Toddy Goldstein 3 votes in your eyes last night?
I think that's a great question, because I thought Goldie was terrific for us, but I also thought Cruiser was very good. So it depends how you look at it. I often see votes given where one direct opponents get 3 and the other one gets 2. So it's a good question. I thought Jack Zeeble was probably the standout player on the ground last night.
We'll have a look at the highlights now, Scotty. They started well, Lukey Boyle.
They did. The first 5 goals,
Boom.
Bill, and jumped out of the box. And at quarter time, you thought, this might get a bit ugly from the Blues' point of view. But, Scotty, as you said, their senior players, the Blues, led by their skipper, I thought, in that second quarter, really stood up and challenged it.
Yeah, look, I thought Mark Murphy was terrific. He got away from us a bit in the first half, but to Ben Jacobs' credit, he really responded after half-time. But, they're not going as well as they would like with a few injuries, the Blues, at the moment, but their top end is still very classy.
I didn't get to watch this game, unfortunately, Brad, but I saw Luke McDonald in the side, 15 disposals in the last quarter. What does he need to do to get back to being a regular every week?
15 disposals in the last quarter. He's a really competitive individual. He's been likened to Luke Hodge as a junior. I mean, he's got a long way to go before he reaches those lofty standards. But we love him in the side because he's a genuine competitor, and if he keeps bringing that, he'll play each week.
It hasn't been a good year for him, though, compared to his boom first year. What do you put that down to? Yeah,
he had a really interrupted pre-season, and often players who have good first years, and he's still only 19, 20 years of age, and that interrupted pre-season set him back, and he took a while to respond, but I think he's best ahead of him this year.
Jared Waite came up against his old side for the first time last night.
Did he get a boot?
He did get a couple of boots.
Yeah. I was hoping he would, because he's the type of player that responds to that sort of thing.
Yes, he is. And I thought he was pretty good. He's been pleased with his output in general over the course of the year.
Well, what I'm most pleased, I mean, he sits, I think second or third on our goal-kicking list, so he's contributed on the scoreboard, but mostly for Wade, he ranks top 5 in pressure forwards in the competition the last 3 weeks, and if he brings that, then his offensive output's not as important.
Have you got any concerns anymore about your key defenders? Like, I know it's about come finals time and all those different type of guys have got hold of you, whether it be Franklin or a Travis Cloak, whatever. Do you feel like Tarrant's your one? Is there someone who's identified themselves this year as that man?
Tarrant's definitely filled a gap that we had last year. You name it, Cloak, Hawkins, Franklin, Tippett, they all got holders at different stages in 2-14, and that hasn't happened at all this year. Walker a little bit got a hold of us. Charlie Dixon certainly beat Robbie Tarrant on the day, but Tarrant's beaten Cloak, he's beaten Hawkins, he's beaten those sorts of players. So while Taz has got some, I suppose, experience in terms of age, he's still only played 40, 50 games. So he'll continue to get better, and he's got the size to play that position.
The cameras caught this last night, Bradley. I know you'll love this. Your reaction to a free kick for in the back, and you just could not believe it, which reminded us of someone else, Bradley. It's identical, to be honest. Eh?
Are we twins? It's like the question I get all the time, what's it like to be a twin? It's like, well, how do I know? What's it like not
Could
to be?
you tell that Geelong were going to win yesterday? Could you feel that?
I don't feel too much.
No.
I think I agreed with him there on that free
Yeah, but
kick
how do
too.
you like all those reactions and pieces when you get caught in the box?
I think it's great. Well, it's not hard to get caught. I mean, there's a camera trained on you the whole time. So, no, I like it. I think it's theatre. It's, like watching other coaches. But, I spoke to the umpires before the game if there were any differences in the way they were going to umpire.
Yeah.
And they said no. I said, were there any differences last week? And they said no.
Which there was.
So I don't know why. I've been bothered asking.
Brad, just on that, and I don't want to embarrass Hutchie, but he's one that's been critical of you and maybe at times your temperament in the box, amongst other things. How do you deal with that? I look at Alistair Clarkson and he's got someone tapping him on the shoulder, or do you disagree with that? That's just the emotions that you coach with? Or have you got someone who's there for you as well?
No, there are people there for me. And we film the box, we record the box, and that's analysed all the time. I mean, I coach in the moment, and I think that the most important thing is that I'm making clear decisions and that I'm speaking to the players really clearly at all the breaks, and I'm really comfortable with that.
Do you expect to be recontracted for the long term over the summer? Will you put that on the agenda?
Oh, I won't put it on the agenda. I think that I spoke about Boomer before and making the best decision for the club, and the club's got to make the best decision, on the coaching future. And at the moment, they see that as me. But if that changes, and if I've got a difference of opinion as to where the football team's at, then we'll make the best decision for North Melbourne. I've loved the opportunity that I've been given at North, and I'm really appreciative for that. And when the time comes, I'll be really upfront and honest as to what the best thing for the club is.
Do you want to be the long-term coach?
Yeah, I want long-term success for our football club, and I'm really driving hard to try and achieve that. And if I can achieve that, then things will roll on. But if I can't, then we'll make a change. I think it's as simple as that.
So you expect to coach next year, though?
I'm contracted.
Yeah. But the long term is the decision that you've got to sit down and talk to them about, you think?
In due course, but I mean, I don't think you want to make decisions. I mean, we made a decision a long way out last time, and I think you were critical of that. So you can't win, can you? Well, I've got 18 months to go, so we'll see how we go in that period of time.
Probably coach next year, I reckon.
We'll go to the votes, I think, Archie, and I think I'm on the same page as the coach here. Is Evil best on Higgins and Goldstein next, and I thought Mark Murphy tried hard and was the best player for the Blues, clearly.
Well done, Scotty. Thanks for coming in. Good luck for the finals. Looks like you're going to make it now, and there's a real opportunity there with it opening up and the Tigers coming as well. So we wish you luck in September and beyond.
Appreciate it, Hutchie.
Brad Scott, the coach of the Kangaroos, joining us on the Sunday Footy Show.